connection runs like a thread through Ryan Guzman's story. Whether navigating his Mexican-American heritage, building community on an offset, or stepping into the role of Eddie Diaz with empathy and authenticity. In our conversation, my questions opened the door to reflections on identity, resilience, and legacy, and his responses revealed a man shaped as much by family and culture as by fame. What emerged was not just an interview, but an invitation to see greatness not in spotlight or status, but in the connections we hold and the love we share. You ready to get just started? We'll just get right into conversation?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, I'll start out with some gratitude, and I will just say, thank you so much, Ryan Guzman, for joining me here in AwareNow to share this space and share this story. Thank you so much.
Well, then I'll reciprocate that gratitude, Allié. Thank you so much. I'm grateful for you for giving me the space to talk.
Absolutely. Well, let's begin this way. In the story of you, Ryan, let's flip back to your beginning. For you, growing up in Texas, in Sacramento, first question here is, what role did your heritage play in shaping your sense of self? And how has it continued to guide you in Hollywood?
Oh man, that is a very in-depth question. It entails so much. Yeah, so I mean, I was born on an Air Force base in Texas. It was Air Force Base, and moved to Sacramento when I was, I think, 2.5, 3. So I don't know too much about Texas, but I do know that that's my origin. Sacramento was home for me, though, for the longest time. And growing up Mexican American, my cultures coincided in a very interesting way. I think a lot of people that are biracial actually can connect to this. It's very hard figuring out what your identity is. You know, you're either too white to be Mexican, too Mexican to be white type deal. Especially since I was raised in a family that it's first generation in America, so they wanted to assimilate. So a lot of my family members would push the narrative that we need to speak English and no Spanish. So a lot of us didn't learn Spanish.
Wow.
So, and knowing that in the Chicano culture and the Mexican culture, and that if you don't learn Spanish, you don't speak Spanish, it's almost like you're less Mexican too, which I'm not for, because I feel the culture is the culture.
Yeah.
But I found it very tough navigating for the longest time. I don't know if I really had a true sense of identity until later in my later years. And this is more recent than not. But one thing I always held true was that I was very, very, very proud to be Mexican American. And there's such a richness in our culture. And it does stem from family. That family dynamic, that big family that we are, like I was raised in. I mean, my cousins were my brothers and sisters as well. And I hold that dear to me because the gatherings that we had, whether it be a wedding or quinceañera or whatever kind of type venue, I felt just an abundance of love. And I felt like you felt the love through the food, you felt love through the music, you felt love through just intermingling and connecting truly. So that's what I really take with me on my day-to-day basis. And I've kind of created that out in LA. It's my family, whether they're blood or not. I keep an open door policy. It's just like, you know, this is part of my culture. Let me cook for you. Let me invite you over. Let me have in any time, at any point in time, please come over. Let's enjoy each other. So that's what I've really resonated with and kept throughout the entirety of my career / adulthood.
Yeah, and I love that. It's just that it goes back to family, that connection. And I hear you being mixed, right? For me, it wasn't black enough, wasn't white enough. Like, I'm just kind of me, but
Yeah.
no less
but no less, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I feel like there shouldn't be there's so much judgment, and I feel like there's a lot of it put on by our own cultures, to be honest, um, which is sad to see. But at the same time, I think there is a new element for biracial individuals to step into and kind of claim as their own, whereas that we are significantly part of both. And
Yeah.
I love representing that. I
Yeah.
love being a kind of hodgepodge of humanity
Yeah.
and allowing that to be an invite for those that are maybe having a tough enough time figuring out who they are, to just accept themselves for everything, not that they're not, but everything they are.
I love that so much. So let's talk more about you and who you are, because you've been in the octagon, you've been on the mound, and now on the screen. Each path, I would imagine, required grit in very different forms. So, Ryan, question now is, how did those earlier chapters of you as an athlete, as a fighter, prepare you for the resilience that's demanded in acting? I would just love to hear a couple of stories, a couple of examples.
Oh man, thank you for that question. Baseball was my life for the longest time, as well as soccer was, but baseball really hit because I was a left-handed pitcher, and that just happens to be rare. And I had been doing really, really good. I was recently reminded by my father of how good I had done coming out of high school, and what it gave me was, yeah, a sense of grit because essentially, actually, and also a sense of being a teammate,
Mm.
knowing that there's a goal beyond the individual, and working as such allowed me to really want that in my day-to-day life. And being an actor, that's not really present. But when you're on set, it is. So you're with the crew and you're with the cast, and now you become the team again. And now our overall goal is not just to win a game, but our overall goal is to create the most authentic thing we can, or create the most provocative thing we can to really capture the audience's attention. Um, and I love that about baseball. And also, it was, since I was a pitcher, it was you're out there on your own. You're literally on
Mm.
the island, and everything is dictated by what you throw or what you don't throw. So it's really up to you how the game goes. And I'm giving the opportunity now to the batter to hit it to all my infielders, outfielders, and hopefully we've all done our job.
Right.
Uh, but the amount of pressure with that spotlight on me, I think also trained me to be in front of the camera. Now, when it comes to fighting and MMA, that is something that is, I mean, I've taken Bruce Lee's words with me throughout my entirety of my life, his teachings, his philosophy, and I've always found fighting to be more philosophical than
Mm.
than it is actually a violent or a practice of violence.
Mm-hmm.
It is understanding oneself in the most extreme condition
Yeah.
and allowing one, and I think this is what I feel is best, is allowing one to find calm within a chaotic moment or
Mm.
moments. And that to me has helped me throughout my acting, and as well as these types of interactions where it can be very overwhelming to share your thoughts and your feelings to a person, let alone, hundreds of thousands of people that might see you.
Yeah.
So there is a level of chaos that goes on in your own head and your heart, and you have to calm that down, and you have to understand it and sit with it. And I learned that through fighting.
Wow. So many lessons in so many different ways. Um, let's talk about roles. One specifically, your role as Eddie Diaz. It's
Mm.
resonated so deeply with so many, especially with Latino audiences who see themselves represented on screen. Question for you here. What has playing Eddie taught you, not just as an actor, but as a father, a son,
Mhm.
as a man?
I've been on a parallel with Eddie. I mean, for 8 seasons straight, it's been so strange. I've had so many moments with Eddie that I later on have as Ryan. And I don't know how that works. I don't know if it's just divine intervention or because all of this kind of felt like some kind of gift from God. Even receiving the call and saying, hey, you got a straight offer for 911, which never happens in our industry. So it's always been kind of a blessing. And I've been trying to learn as I've been going along the path. But being a father on screen months prior to being an actual father was kind of the ultimate training, I guess.
Yeah.
It was an opportunity to really see and really dive into empathetically what it could be to feel as a father and the responsibilities that it comes with. And I had this moment of, and I could still remember it to this day, where I'm walking Christopher, or Eddie's walking Christopher to school, and I just had such a grandiose feeling of like, one day this is going to be me with my own son. And it just felt so warm. And I was like, it just, all the worries and fear of not knowing even how to be a father, because I don't know how to take care of myself yet, really. I feel what is life? Like, who am I? All of it kind of went away. And it was just like, again, God kind of came, grabbed my shoulder and said, you got this. This is going to be good for you. And that's what I felt. So in so many ways, Eddie has shown me or given me opportunities to really try new things out and understand more things about myself. Even being, now a single father, it's just like, how does that work out prior to knowing? And I've had moments, with Eddie dating and trying to figure out where he's trying to go really with his life. I've had moments where it's just like, this came straight from set. I remember specifically right after my divorce, I wanted to take time for myself to really understand, and I was a very hurt place. But I had women trying to talk to me, and at that moment, I literally said I think a line from 911, and I didn't mean to.
No way.
Yeah, and it was just like, hey, right now I don't think I'm for you. I need to tap into me right now, and like, thank you, I'm very flattered, but I stepped back and I was like, did that really just happen? Wait a second. This is so odd, art imitating life and vice versa. So yes, Eddie has been such a great conduit to life for me. And I've been able to just maneuver life a little bit easier with knowing that I have Eddie at my beck and call every season.
Oh, amazing. Yes. And life and art and art and life and what? So I know for me, there have been moments where the work I'm doing suddenly feels bigger than me, right? So have you had a moment like that in your career when you realized that it wasn't just about you anymore?
I think this role is that. I think there's something much greater at play, and that actually takes, I'll be the first to admit it, when I was a young actor, I feel like I had an ego where I put myself in a place of importance towards the role as if it's all me. I've come with age to realize that it's so much grander than that, so much bigger than that. And what it's offered, this role specifically, Eddie has offered to just, my family, my kids, myself, to those that watch the show that have now come up to me and told me their feelings and their thoughts about the character itself. So much greater than I could have imagined. And again, I think it really comes back down to connectivity. And that's what I'm really, really inspired about. I really think that in this day and age, there's so much I would say polarizing ideas. And I'm not against the polarizing ideas because it could stimulate great conversation, but I think it's also putting everybody in certain boxes and not allowing individuals to really have healthy conversations. And inclusivity to me is everything, but we can't get to inclusivity until we really empathize for each other and we can really allow each other to see we're just all human beings trying to figure it out. And I think that's what Eddie is. He's come from a depressive state. He's come from, now he's in a state where he's in a moment of self-love. And I love seeing the dichotomy of his arc and really allowing others to follow that and join him. It's almost encouraging in a way. So I'm like the audience itself. I'm like, okay, Eddie, here we go.
I love that. The actor and the audience at the same time, to be able to live vicariously through this character while living your own truth at the same time. So one last thing for you to say, my friends. When I think about greatness, I don't see it as fame or spotlight. It's more about the legacy that we leave behind, right? So for you, Ryan, what does greatness look like to you?
I think greatness is connected to community. I think that the interconnectivity between individuals to make the community and a whole community, because I feel like it doesn't take too much. It doesn't take 100,000 people. I think if we could just have communities interconnecting and on a very healthy and loving connection, then I think that instills greatness. But I think the idea of greatness being tied to one individual, other than, God, but one individual human being, I think that needs to be dispelled. And greatness should come from all. And I don't think we get there without, again, empathizing for each other and creating a deeper sense of connection and a non-judgmental viewpoint on each other. So greatness, again, to me is tied to openness and love.
I love that. Thank you so much, Ryan, for taking this time, for sharing a bit of your story, and thank you for helping all of us become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Allié, and thank you again for taking your time to talk to me.
Absolutely.